Baker, the Arts and Humanities Specialist for the YMCA of the USA. This is Joe Patricca with us today. He is the Vice Dean of the AFI Conservatory. Joe, thank you so much for AFI. I don't think I mentioned that, for American Film Institute here in Los Angeles. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for the program.
Yeah. Tell me, if you could maybe just give the folks out there a little bit of background on AFI, how long it's been around, what it does.
AFI is a nonprofit arts organization created in 1967 by President Lyndon Johnson. And it is to educate and celebrate filmmaking and film artists.
Fantastic. And what has been your path within AFI?
I was a student here at AFI. AFI has a graduate program where the students are called fellows, and I was a screenwriting graduate in 1990. And then I have worked in various capacities here at AFI, from as simple as editing a film journal to working as the Vice Dean overseeing the graduate program and national workshops.
And sort of the overall feeling or philosophy of AFI, how do you encourage innovation and creativity, both in the staff and in the students?
I think that AFI's mission is to be a leader, to be a national leader in the film community. And so taking to heart that need to be a leader, all of our programs are, geared that this is something that someone can't get everywhere. This is something that may not be for everyone. This is something for the people who are very specific about their desire to pursue film in a professional way around the world, and not just the United States, because 30% of our student body is international.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
Okay. And how do you sort of find that budding artist? Like, how do you recognize talent and creativity in people when they apply to AFI?
All of our programs, including from the graduate program to the national workshops to special one-off kind of programs, are all application-driven. And those applications generally require either a portfolio or a sample of work related to the specifics of that program. So it's identifying the talent from those samples that are provided. And sometimes it's not necessary that we're looking for the coolest or most polished or slickest. We're looking for the potential, and our work in film is all based on storytelling.
Okay.
So in storytelling, it doesn't matter if you shot it on a bad camera or a good camera, or if it looks super polished or it was shot in your basement. It's, do you tell the story, and do you get to the characters, and do you do that? And if you can communicate that, then that is what we're looking for.
Okay. And what would you say to, someone who is watching this who might want to apply to AFI, but they're, obviously young? Like, what kind of things should young people think about doing if they want to pursue a storytelling or film career?
Luckily these days, film and video and visual language is so much easier than when I was. I mean, in a short time, it's grown so much. So I think that the tools are accessible to a wide range of people. Maybe if their family doesn't have a video camera, or if that's not something attainable in their immediate sense, there are schools, there are after-school programs, there are so many programs that involve cameras. There's even libraries that have cameras that you can check out, that you can play with it. I actually had a friend who was in high school who didn't have his own camera, but he would re-edit movie clips and music videos that he could find online, and just re-edit them to sort of practice telling a completely different story than those things were. But because that's the tools that he had. He had a computer, and he had the internet, so he could get those two things, and then he would edit these little films that way.
Okay.
So I think that you can not sort of beat yourself up for what you don't have, and find what you do, and you can make anything out of it.
Yeah. What would you say is sort of I don't want to say the future of filmmaking, but like when you kind of look at the landscape out there, like how does AFI see it changing, and what are you guys doing to continue to be at that forefront?
Sort of a twofold answer in that storytelling is storytelling. Whether it's on your computer, on your phone, on the big screen, on your television screen, a story is a story, and a story is what communicates to an audience, and that's what they respond to. So you don't necessarily have to get caught up in what the future is and what the future model and mode is. You really have to go to the heart of communicating that to the audience. So forget about being the most cutting edge. Be good at telling that story. That being said, the models and the modes of distribution of visual media are expanding, and it's a global universe, and things can be communicated very rapidly. YouTube has, revolutionized short film and the way people look at film and how film is part of their lives, and we don't disregard any of that. And trying to stay up on that is an endless sort of journey and challenge, but it doesn't change the core of what we do. It just is something that adds to that sort of information of what we do.
And recognizing that there are thousands of YMCA employees out there who are have kids under the age of 18 in their arts programs. What message do you have for YMCA staff who work with children?
The message I have is that most of the filmmakers who are here, who then go off to incredible careers like David Lynch or Darren Aronofsky or many, many, many names that I can't even think of off the top of my head, they often started when they were 13. They often fell in love with movies, whether it was going to movies, seeing movies, or making movies when they were young. And if it's not movies, it could be theater. It could be acting. There's so many different, still photography. There's so many different ways into it that creative spark can be nurtured and can grow and expand. I mean, there's a woman from the Directing Workshop for Women, a participant from years ago, who grew up in Harlem, and she can't believe that she's directing television shows. And growing up, it was the furthest thing from her sort of inner city childhood, but there was a program when she was a girl. It sounded like high school, before college, that transformed her and took her, and that led her through her life and gave her something to reach out beyond what she thought her means were. So I think it's really meaningful, and I also think that arts are underfunded and underappreciated, and any way they can be communicated. It doesn't mean that the audience doesn't want them. Clearly the audience does. So engaging them and finding ways to engage them is really the core.
And give me your thoughts on the role of adult influencers on young artists, and how important it is to have.
I think that having something that is reachable or attainable is something that's really meaningful, particularly to younger kids. And watching Brad Pitt on the screen is really cool and really awesome, but it's hard to imagine that they're going to be Brad Pitt, or they're going to be Quentin Tarantino behind the camera filming Brad Pitt. But they can relate to that really great person who showed them how to use a camera, or that really great person who seems to be a happy, well-adjusted adult, or at least that's what they pretend to the child that they are, that they can aspire to that lifestyle.
Well, Joe, thank you so much for your time, and thank you for what you do with AFI. Certainly. And we definitely appreciate it. So thanks so much for you guys. Bye-bye.